Namaste. Acham nirvikalpam nirakaramekam niranandamanandamadvaita purnam param nirgunam nirvishesham niriham parabrahmarupam ganesham bhajema. Team Param Vedanta welcomes you all to the 36th session of Bhagavadgita, verse by verse. This is the last chapter of Prathama Shatakam and a very important chapter dealing with meditation, as the very name says, Dhyāna Yoga. It is also called ātma samyama yoga. The entire 6th chapter can be divided into 5 main topics with regard to meditation, and they are: the first one is samanya sadhanani or bahiranga sadhanani. These are the general disciplines to be observed throughout our day-to-day transactions and not just during the time of meditation. The second topic is about the specific disciplines or preparations, the vishesha sadhanani, which are to be observed just before meditation, like the time, the place, etc. The third topic is about Dhyāna Swarupam, the actual process of meditation per se. Is it concentrating on something, or is it remaining thoughtless, still and silent? Is it destruction of the mind, or is it going away from the mind, transcending the mind? We will find answers to all this. The fourth topic is about the benefit of meditation, Dhyāna Palam. And this is specifically with regard to the Vedantic meditation and not the Upasana, and the difference between the two we shall know in the class today. The fifth topic is about the obstacles during meditation and their remedies, Dhyāna Pratibandha Parihara. Obstacles like sleep and distraction of the mind. In fact, Arjuna had the same, and he asked Krishna, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramati balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkritam. The topic of Yoga Prashta is also covered towards the end of the chapter. Such a beautiful chapter that we shall learn in the next few classes. As usual, the class will begin and Dr. Hegde will introduce the class. Srimati Jyotirmayi Karthik will chant the verses, and our team comprising of Srimati Apeksha, Srimati Sukanyaji, Dr. Rupa, Dr. Srinivas Rao, and Srimati Ramaji will present the verses for the day. I request Dr. Anupama to do the recap and take over from here. Namaste.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Dakshina Murti Stotra, verses 5 to 10, a recap. In this stotra, Adi Shankaracharya has condensed the essence of Prasthanatrayam, the entire Vedantic teaching, as Sarva Atmatvam Iti, implying that everything in this creation is me, the Sat Chit Atma alone. This stotra is presented as a prayer to the Adi Guru Sadashiva. Anyone who surrenders to the Guru, Yobhodayat Ashritan, receives directly Sakshat, the Jnanam Tat Tvam Asi. I am the limitless existence consciousness principle. Ishwaratvam Swataha. I am the master of everything. Any sense of limitation or insecurity is either due to the Viksheka Shakti of Maya, which is responsible for Adhyasa, delusions, or the Avarna Shakti of Maya, responsible for Ajnana or ignorance. In a state of sheer delusion, people claim that their true nature is body, mind, shunya, etc. Deham pranamapi indriyanyapi chalam buddhim cha shunyam viduhu. Shankaracharya says that these people are an irrevocably deluded lot. Branta Brisham Vadhina. They suffer from intellectual deficiencies described here as 3: emotionally suppressed, or unreleased intellect, bala, undeveloped intellect, andha, scripturally unaided intellect, jada, restricted or unintelligent intellect. It is the Guru described here as Maha Vyamoha Samharini, who destroys this delusion with the light of knowledge. The Guru says, your essential nature is Sanmatra, pure existence, or Kevala Satta, which is free from all attributes. He says, you are the witness consciousness or Sakshi, experienced eternally as I am. This Atma Anubhava, I am, is therefore a continuous experience. Balyadishu api jagratadishu tata sarvasu avasthasu. Through the various stages of the body like infancy, adolescence, old age, etc., and the states of the mind like jagrat, swapna, shushupti, etc., aham iti antaha spurantam sada, meaning eternally. Prati Bodha Viditam Matam. The Guru reveals the new perspective of attributeless I to the seekers through the auspicious hand gesture of Chin Mudra. Swatmanam prakati karoti bhajatam yo mudraya bhadraya. I am the Sakshi only when all attributes of Sthula, Sukshma and Karana Sharira are separated from I am. Why then does the Sakshi I become Samsari I? Maya Paribhramita. Being scripturally illiterate, people fail to own the Sakshi I and identify with the Ahankara I. Asanga Sakshi now becomes Sasanga Jiva. Sakshi I now becomes Samsari I. Every transaction and relationship becomes an expression of Karya Karana Sambandha, be it Shishya Acharya, Pitruputra, Swapna Jagrat, etc. I, the Jivatma Ahankara, am now the product of my own past karma. I am Karyam, and my prarabdha karma is Karana of my situation. Shankaracharya says, even in this state of being a confused, Maya Paribhramita Samsari, my inner essence is still Dakshinamurti. Shankaracharya concludes this stotra by describing Dakshinamurti as Vishwa Rupa Ishvara. This Ashtamurti, Dakshinamurti, he says, is Vishwarupa Ishvara because this is the Lord whose body is the whole universe. Other than this, there is nothing else. The Lord is absolute, Param, and all-pervading Vibhum. I offer my pranams to this Lord. This stotra has taught me everything in this creation is none other than me, the Sat Chit Atma alone. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana and Sankirtana of these verses gives me the conviction Sarva Atma iti bhava. My essential nature now is Ishvaratvam Swataha. I am the master of everything. Let's conclude with Dakshinamurti Stotra Phalam. Ashtadha Parinatam. I attain the Vishwarupa Dakshinamurti state. Aishwaryam. I claim lordship over everything. Siddhi. I revel in my own fulfillment. And Avyahatam. I remain without any obstacles. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anupama. In 5 minutes, you've been able to give us a miracle of giving us the essence of this masterpiece of Adi Shankara, the Sri Dakshinamurti Stotra. And every ardent student of Vedanta should memorize these verses because these verses encapsulate everything that is there in Vedanta. And through the grace of a guru, if you are able to understand the meaning, you have a reservoir of Vedanta with you wherever you go. Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Pariyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. We now come to study the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita titled Jnana Yoga. This is one of the most wonderful chapters dedicated to a complete understanding of what meditation is all about. When we studied the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, we got an excellent summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. The 3rd chapter told us the importance of Karma Yoga and how to be a sadhaka throughout the day. From the time you wake up till you go to bed, whether at home or at work or in between, how I can be a sadhaka, how I can be a karma yogi. So irrespective of our roles in life, let me be a sadhaka. That's what we learned in the 3rd chapter. The 4th and the 5th chapter were the culmination of Karma Yoga as Jnana Karma Sannyasa. That means with spiritual wisdom, when I discover my higher nature, how do I go about my work? I realize that it is not me who's doing everything. The body-mind does it under the supervision, under the blessing of the Atma. Gradually, I need to take the sense of doership that I am doing everything. And so my activities will be less stressful. I love things to happen. Much more will happen because now he will manifest through you. The climax of Dhyāna Karma Sannyasa came in the 5th chapter, where the whole message was the evolution of being a mental sannyasi. And now we realize how important it is to be a mental sannyasi, because there is no question of sitting to meditation as a grihastha. As a grihastha, you have so much responsibilities. You have so many schedules. The moment you close your eyes, all your schedules, all the things that I have to do next will come to my mind. How is it possible to do meditation? That is why the background of all these previous chapters is so important for us to understand what meditation is about. As we come into the study of the 5th chapter, of the 6th chapter on Dhyāna, you will see almost all the verses that we study in this class today, the first 5 verses, it will look like Karma Sannyasa. It is all about Sannyasa only. We will really understand what meditation is about and what is the preparation required for meditation. Unfortunately, a lot of us do meditate, but there are so many misconceptions. And if you do not know what meditation or what is the purpose of meditation, people may spend a lot of time in meditation, but the problem is they really do not get anywhere. Our Guru has given us a very clear idea what meditation is not. The first and very clear message of Swamiji is meditation is not meant for moksha. Why? Because all our Shastra says moksha is not something to be attained at a particular period of time. It is not a goal to be attained. It is not a sadhyam. It is a siddha vastu. Moksha is our true nature. But then there are a lot of coverings which we need to, all our sadhanas is to be able to discover. And that discovery process is through jnanam. So meditation is not for moksha. The next question is meditation a means for jnanam? Because jnanam is what leads us to moksha. The answer is no, meditation is not prescribed for jnanam. Supposing I want any knowledge, any worldly knowledge or any spiritual knowledge, what do? I go to sources of information like Google, and this is called Shabda Pramana, where Laukika or Vaidika, I will get from Google or any other sources through the information bank. That is a valid source of information. I have my sense organs. This is also called pratyaksha. I use my sense organs. Then there are other methods called anumana and so on, inferential methods to get knowledge. Meditation is not any method to get jnanam. The third misconception that we have is meditation done for any extraordinary experience. Gaudapadacharya, the author of the Mandukya Karika, is very clear. If you use meditation for any extraordinary experience, it is called rasaswada. It is like a drug. It is like getting ecstatic through some form of experience, and meditation is not recommended for any great relaxation experience. Is meditation for Brahman experience? That is also not true, because now we know from Vedanta, Brahman is not an object outside of me. Brahman is the real me. And therefore, through any technique, through any method, I will not be able to see Brahman at all. Brahman is my true nature. And so meditation is not a method for Brahman experience. Finally, you will say, can meditation be a means to get some siddhis or some special power? The whole school of Vedanta tells us we are not working for any extraordinary power. You know, the more we get into the siddhi game, then we get caught in that whole trap. You may get siddhis, you may get special powers if you become a great meditator, but that is not the objective. Now, if you have ruled out 5 important, commonly sought out reasons for meditation, the next question is, what is the purpose of meditation? Meditation is a sadhana, a technique which prepares the mind for spiritual knowledge. It is called Dhyāna yogatha prapti. It is like preparing the soil before you sow the seeds. So the mental preparation is called upasana. Upasana is for the various forms of parayana, the various forms of mantra japas are wonderful methods of making my mind ready for spiritual knowledge. Once the mind is prepared, then I go to a guru. And through this prepared mind, the teacher will give you knowledge, that is Shravanam and Mananam. Once I get the knowledge, once all my doubts are cleared, now I get into a next level of meditation called Nididhyasanam, which is also called Vedantic meditation. And you will see the 6th chapter is all about Nididhyasanam or Vedantic meditation. When you go to the 8th chapter, we will be focusing on Upasana, the preparatory methods. But this chapter is all about Nididhyasanam. What is Nididhyasanam? Although I know my true nature, there are certain habitual opinions that I am a limited body-mind complex. Through Nididhyasanam, I get over that. And then there are certain, deeply ingrained notions because of the various vasanas. And finally, to be able to live a life of a jivan mukta. So these are the real purpose of meditation. The 5 important topics have been already introduced by Dr. Ahalya in the introduction. What is this Bahiranga Sadhana, or the general preparation, which we will study? What is the Antaranga Sadhana? That means specific preparations just before meditation. What exactly is meditation? We will study in this chapter. What are the benefits of meditation and what are the obstacles? I would like to highlight one thing: the importance of karma yoga and also karma sannyasa. You will see, otherwise, for all of us as grihasthas, it is extremely difficult to sit in meditation. Unless I am a true karma yogi, then meditation becomes difficult. So all that we have learned in the previous chapters must be applied into our daily life before we enter into this topic of meditation. The first verse for us today will be explained by Apeksha. Over to you, Apeksha.
Hari Om, sir. Shri Bhagwan Uvachaha Anashritaha Karam Phalam Karyam Karma Karoti Yaha Saha Sanyasi Cha Yogi Cha Na Niragnir Agnirnar Chakriyaha. The Lord said, he who performs the action to be done without expecting the result of action is a real sannyasi and not a renouncer of rituals. Moreover, he is a yogi and not a renouncer of activities. A very, very important question is answered here in the first verse. Can grihastha be a sannyasi or yogi? So Lord Krishna says here, one who performs actions in the spirit of Karma Yoga is both a sannyasi and a yogi. Now, normally what we think a sannyasi is someone who has, who has given up all the duties, household duties, and is living in an ashram and performing all the Vedic rituals. But is he a real sannyasi? We are going to talk about that. A yogi is someone who has given up his duties and who has run away from the world and is sitting somewhere and doing, yoga or meditation, closed with closed eyes. Is that real meditation? We are going to see it further. Shri Krishna says that one does not have to give up their household duties for pursuing meditation. In fact, a karma yogi is actually both a sannyasi and a yogi. Next slide, sir. So, who is a karma yogi? That's the biggest question that comes in our mind, right? A karma yogi is someone who does not rely upon or focus on material benefit, right? He is focused on his inner growth. That is of main importance to him. A karma yogi, obviously, one question which arises in our mind is, so should we give up everything, the wealth and all the awards and all the benefits that we get by being in this world? They are okay, but the karma yogi always keeps this in mind, that what is his main role throughout the day. It is that is focus on the inner growth. So even if you're getting a Padma Shri or a Bharat Ratna award, the karma yogi will see this experience or will see this incident as a reason for his inner growth. And then what type of action does he undertake? The actions which are prescribed by the scriptures, specially meant for inner growth. Now, to make it very simple, a beautiful example is given in the next slide, and that's told by Swami Param. Now, when you're having curd rice, right, there is pickle also. So similarly, so what will you pick up when you are hungry, right? Your daily focus is to have the curd rice. Obviously, pickle is required, otherwise the food will be bland. Similarly, in our life also, curd rice is the focus on the inner growth. You don't take a pickle is the karma that we do in our life, all the material benefits, the wealth that we accumulate, all the activities that we do, that is the pickle. So normally what happens when we are leading a grihastha jivan, we focus on the pickle. Everyone keeps on asking, right? You are doing these Gita verses, you are doing these Gita classes, are you going to get a salary increase? That's where the focus is. That's just the pickle of life. For a karma yogi, the curd rice is the main thing. That is the focus on the inner growth. So there is no success or failure for a karma yogi, because every incident that happens, what is the maximum that can happen in our life? That is a failure, right? We are all afraid of failure. We all have fear and anxieties, but the karma yogi knows that there is no failure. Every incident that is happening, it's a result, it's a Ishvara Prasada Buddhi that he has, and he takes that incident to focus on his inner growth. A person who perform karma yoga do all the activities in the spirit of humble service to God without any desire whatsoever for rewards. So all the activities that we do, the essence is we should just, focus them in the spirit of God. We should just, give it, leave the results to God without any desire. Even though they may be grihasthas living with a family, such persons are true sannyasis and true meditators. Next slide, sir. One does not have to renounce fire in order to perform meditation. In the olden days, householders would maintain a sacrificial fire in their homes. Absence of the fire would indicate that they have renounced all the duties of a householder. But you don't have to do to perform meditation. Lord Krishna clears a very, very important, misconception that we have in our mind. Second, one does not have to go to a monastery or an ashram to actually go and meditate and sit with closed eyes. That myth is also busted here through this verse. Next slide, sir. And why is that? Because even though you might become a sannyasi might have, many thoughts running in his mind. He might be thinking of ashram. Is there too many disciples or is there less disciples? What speech should I be giving? If you have so many thoughts going on in your mind, then in reality, you are not a sannyasi. What is meditation? Mind dwelling upon one field is meditation. But normally what would happen, we would also see that, while we are meditating, we'll have lot of thoughts which are going on. All the worldly thoughts will go on. So that is not meditation. Meditation is when you focus on one particular thing, mind dwelling upon one field. Next slide, sir. So as a grihastha, what is the key takeaways here? It is a Karma Yogi is a grihastha, a householder, but he is also a sannyasi because his mind is focused. He offers everything to Lord. Obviously, he plans. You plan about keeping the future in mind. But when he is in the activity, in the moment, his mind is focused, offering everything to the Lord. A householder who is active in life is a meditator because he is a karma yogi with focus. So a householder who is a karma yogi is doing open eye meditation. So you don't have to sit with your eyes closed and do meditation. You can still meditate when you are focused and you are a karma yogi offering everything to Lord. Hari Om, sir.
Thank you, Apeksha, for a nice explanation of this verse. And on the basis of what she has said, let us look at the opening verse, what the Lord has to tell us. And in this particular verse, he has given us a lot of marks. He has given us, he has said, who is a true sannyasi? When you look at this verse, you will feel that you are still in the 5th chapter, which talks about various types of sannyasa, because there are 3 levels of sannyasa described here. The word ya karoti, he says one who does karma. What kind of karma that you do is the dharmic karma. And how should you do? Anashrita karma pala. That means you are not bound by the outcome. Very, very important. You become a true sannyasi only when you become a true karma yogi. And this is what is called a pala sannyasa. Then he criticizes sannyasis and he says, na niragni. That means the classical sannyasi or the vividisha sannyasi is given a lower grade, that niragni. Nacha akriya. Akriya is one who has renounced all activities. In the last class, we classified 5 types of karma sannyasa. That means if I have to come to the level of meditation, I have to be a sannyasi as far as my karma is concerned. I have to be a mental sannyasi. And there we learned there are 5 levels. The first is the lazy person who gives up karma. And that is the akriya, the one who does not do any karma. Then there's the vividisha sannyasa. Now we need to go from karma yoga, which is Ishwararpana bhava. Little higher than that is the prasada bhava, and the highest level is the vidvat sannyasa, or through jnanam I renounce the sense of doership. The next verse will be explained to us by Sukanya. Over to you, Sukanya.
Hari Om. In the first verse, Krishna says, one who gives up the Vedic rituals is not a real sannyasi, but the one who performs actions and does not have any expectations for results. In this verse, Krishna glorifies a karma yogi and accords him the status of a sannyasi. Adi Shankaracharya's commentary and skill in interpreting this controversy is explained by Swami Paramarthananda. Yam sannyasam iti praho yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyasta sankalpa yogo bhavati kaschada. Yam praho, that which they call sannyasam iti as renunciation, tam yogam vidhi, understand that as karma yoga alone. Nahi kaschan bhavati yogi, nobody becomes a karma yogi, asanyasta sankalpa, without renouncing fancies. Hey Arjuna, by the word sannyasam, I don't mean the conventional sannyasa with the 4th ashrama, but understand that as karma yoga. For nobody becomes a karma yogi without renouncing fancies. Krishna glorifies karma yogi and elevates him to a status of a sannyasi. Throughout Bhagavadgita, Krishna does not recommend formal sannyasa. So to say, Bhagavadgita is a grihastha manual, Gita Acharya is a grihastha, Arjuna is a grihastha, and Vyasacharya also a grihastha. The one whom Krishna glorifies here is also a grihastha. In Vedic terms, karma yogi is a grihastha. Grihastha ashrama is great and spiritually meaningful only if it's used as karma yoga. The title ashrama is derived because of karma yoga. Krishna negates external renunciation of a formal sannyasa with ochre robes. Shankaracharya, being an exemplary sannyasi himself, clarifies this temporary negation should not be treated as a criticism. It's only with a view to glorify grihastha as a karma yogi. In another sloka, Shankaracharya praises sannyasa. Vedanta vakeshu sadaramate bhikshanna matrena chat tushtimantaha vishokamantaha karaniiramantaha kaupinavantaha kalu bhagyavantaha. By renouncing shoka, moha, sannyasi revels in higher self. Valmiki, the Adikavi of Ramayana, also writes, an ascetic lifestyle creates mental space for deeper exploration of life. Conventional sannyasa. Next slide, sir. This also is named Mukhya Sannyasa, real sannyasa. Renunciation both external and internal. He renounces family, leads a monastic life, occurs, renounces karma and karma pala. He is an akarta and abhokta. Internal renunciation of ego, thoughts, events that cause disturbance to the mind. He has no attachments or aversions. He is dvandva vimukta. He is also called Vidvat Sannyasi, Jnana Sannyasi, Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi, Paramartha Sannyasi, as declared by the Shruti and Smriti. He is not bound by any karmas, but enjoys total inner leisure. Next slide, sir. Karma Yogi Grihastha is a householder with family responsibilities. He performs Panchamaha Yajna as desireless action. He cannot give up karma, but he can give up sankalpa and accepts whatever karma pala as Ishvara Prasada. In the midst of his busy life activities, he still finds time for inner leisure through sankalpa and samatvam. Sage Yajnavalika, with his wives Maitreyi and Katyayani, was a great karma yogi who subsequently became a Vidvat Sannyasi. Yajnavalka Maitreyi's spiritual dialogue is a part of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Next slide, sir. Asanyasta Sankalpa is renunciation of worry about future, anxiety, or fear for results of action. Sankalpa is the cause of desire. Desire is the cause for karma. Sannyasi renounces all three: karma, kama, karma, and sankalpa. Whereas a grihastha, being in charge of the household, needs to do a lot of planning for his kids' education, other household matters. Planning is a deliberate action here, very much necessary for a grihastha. But worrying about what the future would be is unhealthy. Dropping this worry about future is sankalpa sannyasa. Next slide, sir. Samatvam is another important sadhana for attaining equanimity of mind through meditation. An undisciplined mind gets turbulent with emotional disturbance and it cannot handle tough situations. One such example is a philosopher with a trained mind once got a shocking news about his wealth being lost in a ship due to sinking. With great shock, he uttered "what?" instantly. After a while, he regained from shock and his words now were "so what?" This transformation from what to so what is the effect of a tranquil mind, samatvam. This is possible for a grihastha also. Samatvam, samadarshana, sthita prajna are all the results of a tranquil mind. Swami Paramarthananda says FIR is an index to indicate one's ability to handle difficult situations in life, which a karma yogi can practice. Both sankalpa and samatvam are necessary for a life of internal renunciation for both the sannyasi and karma yogi. In conclusion, whatever status is given to a mukhya sannyasi is figuratively given here to a grihastha, provided he becomes a karma yogi. A grihastha cannot become a karma yogi without renouncing fancies. Such a grihastha karma yogi enjoys the benefit of both sannyasa and grihastha. That's how Krishna glorifies a grihastha as a sannyasi and a yogi. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you, Sukanya, for a nice explanation of the second verse, where the grihastha has been elevated to someone higher than a Vividisha sannyasi. Traditionally, sannyasis are glorified and given a lot of respect in the Upanishads. And this is very strange in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna has glorified us a grihastha, but a karma yogi. Now, what is that we have to give a lot of importance to? Now, that is where we need to become a true Karma Yogi. When you are a true Karma Yogi, Prahuhu Krishna says is they say. He's quoting wise people as they say who is a true yogi, who is a true sannyasi. You should know the word yogi is used in different meanings, in different contexts. When you're talking about Karma Yoga, chapter 3, the word yoga usually means a Karma Yogi. In the 4th and 5th chapter, the word yogi refers to a sannyasi. In the 6th chapter, whenever the word yogi here means a meditator. Now here Krishna is trying to say, what is that important quality a grihastha must have in order to be a mental sannyasi? And that he should be able to give up all sankalpa. Whenever we do a prayer, whenever we call a pujari to make a prayer, then he says, make a sankalpa. That means in your mind, what is that you really want out of this karma, out of this activity? And all of us, when we go to a temple, when we go to an important place to pray, in our mind comes all our family members, all the difficult situations that different people are going through, and there is a mental prayer for all of them. Now, can I give up that sankalpa? Can I have so much of trust that I'm able to accept the will of the Lord? If I have that kind of sankalpa, that means I have no sankalpa. Then I, as a grihastha, involved in so many activities, but still you do not have any sankalpa, now you become a true yogi. You now only become entitled to a yogi who can meditate, one who has given up all sankalpa. And that is the challenge. That means whenever I'm praying, I have only this prayer. Give me the strength to accept thy will. And if there's any other prayer, it is Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. The moment I pray for any specific event, that means I'm trying to force God to give that to me. And that becomes my sankalpa. And because of that sankalpa, there is always a mental anxiety, will it happen? But on the other hand, if I am a true Karma Yogi, if I am a Phala Sannyasi, that means I have done my work, and now I'm able to accept the will of God. Such a grihastha yogi is a true meditator. Such a person is a true sannyasi. We will go to the next level of this. Dr. Rupa will explain to us. Over to you, Dr. Rupa.
Hari Om. Today I'll be speaking to you about verse 3 of chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita. Let's chant the mantra. Arurukshor muner yogam karma karanamukhyate yogarudasya tasaiva shamak karanamukhyate. In this verse, Lord Krishna explains to Arjuna that for a sadhaka, he has to start his spiritual journey towards liberation by taking the Karma Yoga as the initial step. Once he has attained the benefits of Karma Yoga, he needs to learn to withdraw. Then only he has to proceed to Jnana Yoga, that is Dhyāna. Now, next slide, please. So, the next question which will arise in our minds, question is, how long should I follow Karma Yoga? Is Karma Yoga an end in itself? For that, the answer is the Karma Yoga is an intermediary sadhana, not the ultimate one. By doing Karma Yoga, one can attain Jnana Yoga Prapti and Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. The next slide, please. The benefit of Karma Yoga is a purified mind, but the downside of it is it cannot give liberation or moksha by itself. So, Lord Krishna says, have a balanced attitude. Use Karma Yoga, purify your mind, and then drop your activities. Then transcend to Jnana Yoga. Next slide, please. The whole life cycle revolves around this concept. On the left side of this figure, we can see 3 steps. Step 1, step 2, and step 3. Once you enter step 1, you have to move forward to step 2 and only then reach step 3. We cannot jump from step 1 to step 3. Similarly, when you look at the right side of the figure, step 1 is Karma Yoga, step 2 is Jnana Yoga, and then step 3 is Moksha or liberation. A sadhaka has to go through Karma Yoga as the initial step, then Jnana Yoga, not meditation first. Lord Krishna introduced meditation only in chapter 6 of Bhagavadgita. Even in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, Dhyāna comes in the 7th stage, after initially practicing yama, niyama, pranayama, asana, pratyahara, dharana. Only then dhyana and samadhi come towards the end. Without the study of scriptures, the only meditation a person can do is the nama rupa japa. Next slide, please. Then one can again have a question. I am only used to doing Karma Yoga. How do I withdraw from Karma Yoga? We can remain in Karma Yoga permanently, but that is not so. We cannot do that. Once we have accomplished the necessary preparation of the mind, we have to take one step further, leaving behind Karma Yoga and move towards Jnana Yoga. So we cannot remain in Karma Yoga permanently. We have 2 ways to withdraw from Karma Yoga. Firstly, from grihastha ashrama, we can move to sannyasa ashrama. This is called ritualistic withdrawal. To come out of the Vedic ritualistic duties and to replace those by rituals of self-inquiry. The second one is from grihastha ashrama to vanaprastha ashrama. That is to remain in grihastha ashrama but to reduce the amount of activity. This requires detachment, or else we will not leave. We need to work on this gradual withdrawal. Reduction in extrovertedness is the mainstay here in Jnana Yoga. Initially, to do action in Karma Yoga, you need to have an extrovert mind. Then turn away from that. Spend more time in self-inquiry, which again has 3 stages in this Jnana Yoga. Which are they? Firstly, Shravanam. Secondly, Mananam. And thirdly, Nididhyasana. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rupa, for a nice explanation of another verse, which talks about 2 important words. What you need to know is, what is this Aruruksho and Yogarudaha? Now, Shri Krishna is giving us a roadmap for all of us sadhakas, from where we begin and what we need to go to. Aruruksho is one who desires to grow up in spiritual life. Now, all of us are Arurukshos. For Arurukshos, that means when you enter into a spiritual world, what is the sadhana that we need to do? We need to do Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga is the sadhana. And when you go through Karma Yoga, when you go through all the struggles in life, then your understanding, and with each event, with each difficulty, there is a certain amount of growth. So once there is a certain growth through Karma Yoga and through Upasana Yoga, you now have Sadhana Chatustaya Sampanna. And this person who's got a Sadhana Chatustaya Sampanna, who's got Jnana Yogyata, such a person is called a Yogarudasya. Such a person is now gone to the next state. Now, what happens at the next state? Now, from now on, you now need to be a mental sannyasi. You need to be able to start working on what Swamiji talks as port. You need to relinquish more and more of your possessions, obligations, relations, and transactions. Because if you are not able to do that, you are not able to you are not able to be a mental sannyasi, and therefore meditation or Dhyāna yoga becomes difficult. The next verse will be explained to us by Dr. Srinivas. Over to you, Dr. Srinivas.
Yes, sir. The verse is like this. Yada hi nendriyartheshu karmasvanusajjate sarva sankalpa sanyasi yogharudas tadochyate. Let us see the meaning of each word. Yada hi means whenever. Nendriyartheshu, this word can be split into na indriya artheshu. Indriya artheshu is this Saptami Vibhakti Bahuvachanam, that is in the sense objects. Na karmasvanusajjate. Here karmasvanusajjate can be split into karmasu plus anusajjate. The na gets anvaya with anusajjate. Anusajjate means attachment. Sajjate means attachment. Anu means to follow. That is very well attached. Na anusajjate means not attached. So here, whenever a person becomes, or whenever a person renounces the sense objects and the activities. So this is the meaning of the first line. Second line is Sarva Sang. Sir, next slide, sir. Sarva Sankalpa Sanyasi. That means one who has renounced all Sankalpas. Here, let us see what is the meaning of Sankalpas. Sankalpa means Samyak Kalpana. Means one, whenever we are visualizing something, a very great thing. So the best example is the advertisement industry, where the main aim of the advertisement is to create the sankalpas. So the mind feels that, oh, it is so nice. So next feeling is, let me have it. So that's why it has been said that sankalpat prabhavan kaman. So the sankalpas give rise to kama, that is desire. So the one who has renounced these sankalpas, and next word is Yogarudaha, Yogarudas tadochyate. This word can be split into Yogarudaha tada uchyate. So one here who has renounced all these three things, that is who has renounced the sense objects and the activities and the sankalpas, he is called as Yogarudaha. Here, why sage Vyasa is using Yogarudaha means because Arjuna is a warrior, and in those days they used to climb the horses. So here sage Vyasa is comparing so that Arjuna can understand better the one who has climbed that seat of yoga. Here, as Hegde sir has already mentioned, yoga has different meanings in different chapters. Here, yogi or yoga means that one who has attained that state of one who is able to concentrate. He's already not become a full yogi. Here, the yogi means one who has developed that state of concentration. So here, why Sage Vyasa is telling us to understand that one should know when one has become Yogarudaha. That is because till one has become Yogarudaha, he should be doing Karma Yoga. So once he has reached this state of Yogarudaha, then his mind is able to concentrate on meditation, and he becomes, he can go and fly higher in the meditative state. Before that, this could be the reason why some of the seekers, they say that we are doing meditation for so many hours and we are not able to have any feeling. So this could be the reason, because the mind is not very well prepared. And it is one of the best example is when we are crossing a river, where we might nowadays, earlier when there were no bridges and all that, they used to cross by boats. So we use that boat only till we cross that river. Once we cross that river, that boat is left behind, and then we'll take one more vehicle. So similarly, till we reach this state of Yogarudaha, we need to use Karma Yoga. And once we reach this stage of Yogarudaha, then our mind is prepared for meditation. So that's the meaning, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Srinivas. As always, you explain it so nicely, word by word, so that when you look at these words, you will be able to understand the meaning of each of these words will be able to be retained in your mind. So, Yogarudaha. The Yogarudaha is one who has come up spiritually, who is a sadhana chatustaya sampanna. And what such a person has to do? Now remember, if he has to be a mental sannyasi, as explained again by Dr. Srinivas, he has to give up all sankalpa. There should be no fancies, there should be no desires that I want this to happen. Whenever there is a strong want, it does not mean you should not have desires, but these desires should not be binding. All of us have intentions for ourselves and for our families, but then if it is, if it happens, I am able to accept. If it does not happen, I'm able to accept. We come to another beautiful verse, often very quoted, that will be explained to us by Rama Gopala Krishna. Over to you, madam.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Uddharet atmanatmanam, natmanam avasadayet, atmaiva hyatmano bandhoho, atmaiva ripuratmanaha. Let us see the meaning of the verse. In the following slide, we see the explanation of Uddharet atmana atmanam. One should elevate oneself through the mind. As you can see in the next slide, one should save oneself, the Jivatma, sunk in the sea of birth and death. Make it attain the state of Yogarudaha. The mind becomes elevated by oneself from the transactional reality of illusory world to the absolute reality of the Atma. Swamiji says, Uddharet can be understood in two ways. Uddharet is to snatch the mind away from the snare of the senses, desires, and worldly life to something nobler or higher. Uddharet is to maintain Guru Krupa, Shastra Krupa, Ishvara Krupa, Shravanam, and Mananam has already raised Jivatma to the Paramatma level. Self-motivation is the Atma Krupa to maintain the raised level of the Jivatma. A cow stimulates its newborn calf to stand on its legs. Initially, the calf struggles and finally succeeds with its self-effort and desire to stand. Just as the water in the ocean evaporates and lifts itself using sun's light, one should elevate by self-effort and nididhyasanam. For a sadhaka desiring to get liberated, both God's grace and self-effort are equally important. The next slide says, Atmanam na avasadaye. One should not lower the mind. Avasadanam is not replacing Dehatma Bhava in the mind with Brahmakara Vritti. For example, one has to regularly cut, trim, and comb the naturally growing hair to avoid unwieldy growth. Or in a garden, regular de-weeding encourages the growth of flowering plants. Frequent de-weeding will slowly reduce or completely destroy the weeds. Similarly, there will be a time when the mind will be sufficiently pure and one can effortlessly put down good thoughts. Because a boat can sail or drown in water. It is for the boatman to manage the boat. Similarly, mind alone can be a friend or foe of oneself. As you see in the next slide, Atmaiva hyatmano bandhoho. The Jivatma alone helps to scale up and achieve paramarthic level of the mind. Certainly, there is no one else who can bring about liberation of the self from this world. They can cause bondage and obstruct liberation. Atma eva ripuna atmanaha. The mind alone is the enemy of oneself. The internal enemies like raga and dvesha pulls the mind back to the jiva bhava. The external enemy is one's own projected ahankara and mamakara caused by ajnana. A controlled mind can accomplish many beneficial endeavors, whereas an uncontrolled mind can degrade the consciousness with ignoble thoughts. Like a silkworm, one can be in the bondage of the sense objects. Therefore, the emphatic statement, the mind alone is one's own friend or enemy, is justifiable. Amrita Bindu Upanishad says, Manayeva Manushanam Karanam Bandha Mokshayoho. The mind alone is the instrument that can bind or free a person from bondage. Let us all hope to be free from the bondage. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ramaji, for an excellent explanation of a very, very popular and often quoted verse, Uddaret Atmanam, Na Atmanam Avasadayet. And here we should be very clear about the meaning of the word Atma, which comes so many times. Atma can mean the Parabrahma Paramatma. Atma can mean my mind. Atma can mean sometimes the body. Atma can mean my sense organs. Here all the words Atma mean here the mind. Uddaret, as explained, we have to lift the mind by ourselves. From now on, Sri Krishna brings a lot of importance on my own effort, my own self-confidence, and own self-mastery. Unless we are able to learn to master the mind, meditation and spiritual wisdom will not be possible. Now, how do I bring my mind into an elevated state? The more I dwell into spiritual studies, I have an elevated state of mind. The more I drift away from my spiritual study, that is when my mind tends to drift off. And therefore, my mind can be my own friend. My mind can be my own enemy. I have already explained to you the meaning that of Atma can be different in different contexts. So we need to see how we can elevate our mind, is be more and more inclined into spiritual activity. And each time I make spiritual progress, that will be a state of elevation of my mind. I am responsible for myself, and I am, mana eva manushyanam karana bandha mokshe. My mind can be the cause of my bondage. The same mind can be the cause of my freedom also. The next class will be on all what is called the Bahiranga Sadhana. So we will study from verses 6 to verses 13. We will not be coming into the actual process of meditation. Towards the end, we will be starting the actual process of meditation. But we have more of these on what is called the Bahiranga Sadhana, where we still work on self-confidence, self-mastery in the next class. We will have a chanting of verses 1 to 5 by Jyotirmay. Over to you, Jyoti.
Hari Om. Atha shashto dhyayah Shri Bhagavan uvacha Anashritah karma phalam Karyam karma karoti yah Sa sanyasi cha yogi cha Na niragnir na chakriyah Yam sanyasamiti prahuhu yogam tam vidhi pandava nahya sanyasta sankalpaha yogi bhavati kaschana arurukshor munir yogam
कर्म कारणमुच्यते योगारूढस्य तस्यैव शमः कारणमुच्यते यदा हिनेन्द्रियार्थेषु न कर्मस्वनुषज्जते सर्वसङ्कल्पसन्न्यासी योगारूढस्तदोच्यते उद्धरेतात्मनात्मानं नात्मानमवसादयेत् आत्मैव ह्यात्मनो बन्धुः आत्मैव रिपुरात्मनः हरि।
Thanks a lot to all the speakers, to Srimati Jyoti and to our teacher, Dr. Hegde. So we start with this beautiful chapter and understand the process of meditation and a lot of clarity that we had now. Can grihastha be a sannyasi? This was very well answered. He can be a karma yogi and do everything for inner growth with a spirit of service, offering everything to Lord. The example of curd rice and pickle will be in our memory for a long time. Kaupinavantaha kalu bhagyavantaha. However, grihastha is the pillar of society who supports the other ashramas, and a grihastha can be a sannyasi internally, a mental sannyasi, says the second verse, following Ishwararpana and Ishwara Prasada in all the karma that he has to do. Then there is neither anxiety nor expectation. He becomes a true karma yogi. May thy will prevail will be the Dhyāya Vakya. From the third and the fourth, we learned that Aruruksho and the word Yogarudaha was there twice. Aruruksho for one who wants to grow in spiritual life and become a Yogarudaha. What should he do? Practice Karma Yoga. Begin with Vihita Karma and then the renouncement of the fruits, leading to loss of ego, abatement of passion and hate, and he is at peace mentally. He becomes a sadhana chatushtaya sampanna. Then karma holds no significance. The word shama is also of significance from the third verse. The fifth one, a very popular and important verse. In fact, self-effort and confidence techniques to master the mind are elaborated by Krishna from this verse on, to be more inclined to spiritual activity, which will lead us to greater mastery of the mind. We shall learn more in the coming classes, and we await to meet you in our next class. With this, we end the 36th session today. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.